Thank you. We'll just move on to the final speaker in this section till we have a break. I'd like to introduce Mike Hurn, who is the Head of Education and Welfare at Wigan Athletic, which also sort of encompasses being the designated safeguarding officer, and his title is Embracing Mental Health in Professional Football.
Afternoon all. It's always good to get the pre-break shift, isn't it? See if I can keep you all awake and get you through now to a cup of tea or coffee. Simply, nice and easy. Mike Hurn, Head of Education and Welfare, Safeguarding Officer at Wigan Athletic, Championship club, former Premier League club. Although in my 7 seasons, I guess highlight's always been thanks very much to Man City for the FA Cup win in 2013. Last season as well, so pleasure to be here on that side, following Premier League, following Sporting Chance, following Professor. Yeah, I'm not too nervous at all, so I'll try my best not to repeat. I'll try and keep it as simple as possible. Who am I? Nobody really. I've been in and out of football for a number of years, started as a teacher, coach, sports scientist. I've worked at a number of clubs, the FA, dabbled at that, went abroad, worked to UAE, India, just to give you a bit of context. I work at Wigan Athletic, so probably am qualified to talk about mental health, because that is probably one of the most challenging clubs you could work at. I've been there 7 seasons, starting in the Premier League. Fortunately, after that FA Cup win, we got relegated. We battled for promotion, we got relegated again, we bounced back up, we got relegated again. We're now back to Championship, clinging on for dear life. Hopefully we'll stay there. So as an environment, that sounds challenging enough mentally in itself. But actually, it's a great club to work at. And the reason I've used the title Embracing Mental Health in Professional Football is because I believe culture and environment are a massive part of whether you're successful in supporting players with mental health. Little bit of perspective. I'm not here to teach anyone or tell anyone or what I say is not gospel, is not the truth. It's more about what we do on the ground, face value of it. And there is a little bit of repetition from what people have said before that has come out already. That's important, but I'm not an expert. We're a Cat 3 academy. We operate at a Cat 2 level, but due to facilities, we've remained at Cat 3. So we have good resources, but we certainly don't have Category 1 or some Category 2 level facilities or resources in terms of staffing and structure. So we've got to get it right. And this has been key to everything we've done since the inception of the EPPP and from the time I arrived a year later. What can we do different? We're a Northwest club. We're surrounded by Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Everton, Burnley getting stronger and stronger. Blackburn have been strong for a number of years. How can we have a successful academy and be strong and support players and develop players and get players into the first team with all that competition in the same region? We have to do something different. We have to be different. So we look at developing the person as much as we do the player. And that's key to being our success. And if anyone knows anything about our academy at the moment, we are doing very well. I'll say youth team doing extremely well. Development squad kicking on again now, it's been reformed. Schoolboy teams competing with the big boys when they play them, doing better than that at times. So it's about the philosophy around the academy and the culture and the environment that we've got. We've got a structure. Again, it's a multidisciplinary approach, and I've heard this sort of touched on already today. Every single member of staff buys into everything. We all want to see players in the first team. We all want to see players get pro contracts. We all want to see players that are released go on and be successful in life. Whether you're a coach, medical, whether you're admin, whether you're in the kitchen, we're all in it together. Player care, welfare, there's the new hot topic, the team, the medical staff, the psychology. We've got a great linking with Edge Hill at the moment with the psychology. Is there an expertise or knowledge on mental health in the club? Expert? Probably this guy here is trying his best to be. Is he exclusively? No. Just from all that experience I mentioned before, being a teacher, being involved in pastoral, being a mentor, being a coach, being a sports scientist, you just develop these skills as you do. And that's where the other staff are as well. They all have skills and traits. We use external support, PFA, Sporting Chance, I've managed over the years to build a network of counsellors that I can go to directly if parents and players want to go direct, want to keep things away from the club or from the PFA. Host families, it's really important we train host families to recognise when something might be going on outside of the club, and experience, unfortunately, has taught me that. Schools, liaising with schools on the schoolboys of behaviour. Is there any recognisable things going on at our academy that we can relay back to schools, or is there anything going on at schools that they can relay back to us? So building those positive relationships. Make sure one player has all that available to him, depending on what age group he is. Make sure we've got a good, solid support structure in terms of mental health. But everything falls into that, the medical as well, if a lad's injured, so on and so forth. What education route do we take? Well, we do it down the formal route. I've written down a number of examples. We get the workshops in, if you care, share. We're talking to ex-pros at moment one. I've asked him if it's okay if I name him Dave Cottrell, who played at Wigan, played at Birmingham, played at Sheffield United, Wales International, went to Euros with them. I was there, by the way, one of the great times. You could not tell, I do have a Welsh twang to the accent. He's looking at coming in, talk to the boys, the battles he had in mental health going through his career. It's different now, and I'm going to just kind of come off topic a little bit. The kids now are different. Agreed? Just a couple of you nod, make me feel like I know what I'm talking about. Yes, they're softer. Millennials, whatever you want to call them. I don't like that phrase, but whatever you want to call them, they are different. We're in a softer society, okay? We have to remember that staff of our ages, some of you admittedly younger than I am in the room, we were brought up in a different generation. What you could say, banter, everything else, the pre-season rituals, they're all very different now. We have to take that into account. Social media's got a lot to answer for. It's a great thing. It's a great platform. I've been using it myself already today. But the kids can't get away from anything, or can't get away from any of that at the moment. They are a different generation. We have to, and the coaches and the staff at clubs have to remember that they are experiencing a different life and a different upbringing to what we did 10, 15, 20 years ago. And one parent hit the nail on the head for me yesterday in a conversation watching an under-17 game. His lad's an under-16. He's about to sign, or he's signed his apprenticeship for us next year. And he said, well, when I was a kid, you came home from school, you either did your homework, went out in the street with your mates, or your mum or dad made you do jobs. These kids come home, it's constant. Snapchat, Instagram, this is how cool I am these days. All the rest of the social media platforms, they can't get away from it. Seeing what people are doing, the expectations being placed on them, the pressure of life. Then you've got the pressure of football. Work harder, dedicate your life. You're going to have to miss out. Be committed. You've all heard or seen or know of the messages. If you want to make it, don't go out on a Saturday night. If you want to make it, and the pressures of the parents and the friends and the social media following, because most of these kids, even at Wigan, have 500, 600 followers on Twitter and more on something else. I can't buy that many. But they have them. And the pressure on them to report how well they've played, but they can't get in the team. And just the mental health issues that just sit with us anyway these days. It used to be, what's the matter with you today? Oh, Bill, just a bit pissed off. I'm a bit stressed. That was the answer. Now it's not. It's, I have to hide away from the fact that I've got stress, I've got anxiety, I'm feeling the pressure, I'm depressed. And can the lads come out? I believe if you create the culture of developing the person and give them a good culture and a support network and educate them properly, there's no reason why they won't talk about these things and you can't put an action plan in place for them. Let's go back to, I'll get back on track for you because I'm gagging for a cup of tea myself as well. Formal education, doing it the official way, doing it properly. Informal conversations. We have a thing at our club where we shake hands. Every boy shakes hands with every single member of staff throughout the day, whether he sees him as he arrives in the morning or if he bumps into him at lunch or whatever. We shake hands, it's eye contact. It's building relationships, it's building a rapport. But it could be that handshake with the strength and conditioning coach, as he walks through, signals to the strength and conditioning coach, something wrong with him today. I'm going to keep an eye on him. As that proceeds through the day, that gets alerted system eventually into designated member of staff. It's simple. Just keep an eye on him. Anything going on might be then an informal or formal chat with parents or boy, whichever the best. Know your players. It's a message that comes up. Know your players. If you know them, you know whether you can just pull them aside and say, what's going on? My nan, whatever, this has happened, that, a girlfriend, whatever, I haven't slept well for weeks. And it comes out, action plan in place. It's not rocket science, and I feel like perhaps I'm not patronising, I'm teaching you to suck eggs maybe or whatever, but it's the way it is. Informal conversations with players. There's some players I walk past the corridor, it's a high five, it's a handshake. Where are you at today? I'm a 6. Okay, he's a 6. I'm happy with 6 because I know him. It's when he gets down to a 3 or a 4, he's know I need to spend some quality time with him. Where are you today? I'm a 10. Oh, wow. Well, there's something wrong there. He's a 10. What's going on with the 10? What's happened there? So we go and check. We speak to the boys. We get the guest speakers in, PFA, Safety Net. If You Care Share, we mentioned earlier, great organisation. Dave Cottrell coming in to speak to us. Simple thing. I paid not a lot of money for 500 infographics from a company that sends you the whole job lot, printed them out, laminated them all, highlighted my job so far this season, stuck them up around the changing room, corridors, education building, reception, parent room. Everywhere's got an infographic about being a good sporting parent in the parent room, but also a little bit about, there's always one on mental health in there, talking about it. It's okay not to be okay. All those phrases are around the training ground everywhere, in the canteen. So if there's a player with a problem in regards to mental health, he just sees it. He looks at it. I mentioned that. Know your players. If you know the personalities of your players, and this is key. I was talking earlier with Paul Lake, and over the last 3 years, we've taken 11 apprentices each year from under 16s into under 18s. 10 in each of that cohort have been from within our academy and been with us for a minimum of a year. So we know the boys. Some have been with us for 5 or 6 years. We know them. We know their families. We know how they behave at school. We know what they're up to off the pitch. That's important. Then the odd one that you're taking, you have to work really hard on getting to know. We've got a keeper, first year at the moment, outstanding, performing outstanding. School references were, you're going to have to work hard to get him going, but his goalkeeping coach believed he had all the traits. He is the most OCD player I have ever worked with, and he's 16. He is enormous. He's got hands like shovels. He's not confident at all. He's kept more clean sheets than a youth team goalkeeper ever has in the history of the club. He's still not confident. Still needs reassurance every day, but does things meticulous. We had all the snow and ice and hail and rain and everything recently. Still cycled in every morning. Why? Because if he gets in the car or comes in by bus, it's not a good start to the day. Did we know that about him? No. Did I work damn hard with his school and his parents to find out everything about him? Yeah. Did I know he was OCD? Did we heck? He is meticulous in what he does, and if that doesn't work, he's all over the shop, and we've got to work really hard to get him back on track. Just little things like that you learn, but it's about knowing your players, knowing your culture, getting the culture and the environment right. Factors, what are the factors? We talked about injury already, but that's been mentioned, that really affects players. Non-selection, players in the first year, or second years not getting a game when the first years are. Living away from home, host families, massive one. girlfriend split, fail my driving test, body fat percentages. All the messages we've heard before, they're all contributory factors on how a lad will react and behave. Didn't train well, didn't perform well. I'm not going here, I'm not getting a pro. You're only 6 months in, you've got another 18 months left. Come on. What are the stimulus for that? Well, again, similar things. Markers, like I say, we use that. I'm a 6, I'm a 7, I'm a 10. I'm red, I'm amber, I'm green. They're all different markers we use, or I use with different players. Plan, open door policy, but not just with me, with every single member of staff on site. The foundation phase lead coach at our club, for anyone that knows our club and our academy, he's a little bit maverick, should we say. You would never expect him to be a football coach if you looked at him, but he is brilliant with the foundation kids. But a lot of our 18s will go and talk to him because he's just on such a level with them. Open door policy, knock the door, talk to anyone. Those conversations can go on confidentially, privately. Generally, designated member of staff will get alerted. Identification of needs. Is it serious? Is it someone who just needs a chat? I've just been home for Christmas. I've got an extended break. I've come back. I'm really homesick. I'm crying at night. I'm crying every morning. I don't want to come in. I hate training. Is it just a case of a couple of chats every day? Like I say, I'm no expert, I'm no trained psychologist or counsellor, or is it something that needs to be referred to PFA? And well, I'm not here to point people out, but Michael Bent has been brilliant with me. From 6 years ago when I first realised we had a problem with one lad, somebody said, why don't you try the PFA? Great shout, try it. And he's been magnificent in supporting us. I now have a network of counsellors I can go direct to if I can't get hold of Mike and he can't help me. So PFA is a great resource as well. Sporting Chance on that side have helped us out as well. And with these kids we're talking about, kids who are either apprentice footballers or go to college or have a trade. Have a strategy, have a support plan. Communication. Communication's one probably learned from mistakes again, is making sure all the key people involved in the boys' relationship are aware, rather than just, if they want it to be private and confidential, then of course you honour that. But process, so assess a player, make it an individualised plan. I am repeating myself now, I didn't realise I would be. Make the referrals if they're needed, monitor it, and for me, the ultimate goal is self-management. Can a player manage himself? So I just briefly brushed over a lad goes home, extended break, Christmas. He's right on the verge of probably going to achieve himself a professional contract. He's from the Isle of Man. He wants to live the rest of his life in the Isle of Man. So he's got no chance of being a professional footballer if he does that, because unless he's earning an absolute bucket and he's got a private jet and he's flying back and forth each day, he's got no chance. We've been through this. He gets tragically homesick every time he goes back. I've never been to the Isle of Man. Staff that have, I've said, what's it like? And they went, that's all right. So no offence to anyone from the Isle of Man, but I'll ask you separately. But apparently it's all right for a weekend. But he just loves being at home. That he's a home bird, he's soft, he's a big brute of a lad, he's a left-footed centre-half, he's doing magnificent. Strategies have been put in place for him from day one when he joined us. But he's not taken those strategies. This is really hard. He's not taken those strategies on board. He would prefer to just go home, have a good time, catch up with his mates, spend time with the family, walk the dogs, go down the promenade in Isle of Man, fly back over and have a crash, even though he knows it's coming. We all know it's coming. So it's like the night he's flying back, I'm like, how you doing? Everything okay? Waiting for an answer, checking my phone constantly. Ruins my Sunday evening or whatever it might be. But he's not prepared to adopt the strategies. And his parents do the same thing now, give him plenty of time at the airport on the way back, say, that's it, great, see you in whatever. It's all planned out for him. If he doesn't buy into it himself, that's harder. So that's where that next point of self-management, he has to manage himself if he wants to give himself a chance of a career. And that for me, is probably where I could do with some advice, really, of someone. Self-management. How is he going to take the things on? Just quite simple. Detachment from family, friends, giving himself plenty of time, making the mental adjustment. He's coming back into the professional environment. I was asked if I could just give a couple of examples. So this was the very first one, 2014-15 season I came across when I went to the PFA and asked for help. He was a boy who'd been with us for a number of years. He was an under-19 at that point. Got called up for international duty, and I never realised he'd never been abroad on holiday and never been away from his family. None of us ever really realised that. Just take it for granted. Lads go on holiday with their families in the summer, and he went and spent some time with the international group. He was away in Dublin, initiations, all the usual thing. Just had this monumental anxiety attack when he came back. It took us a few weeks to find out about it. Through the club, through the PFA, we got him counselling, everything's better, but he withdrew from international football and now is playing part-time, but on a part-time job. Probably, we'd be more aware that we could have handled that better, could have supported him. Lad might have had a greater opportunity of progressing. This was the one that is hardest for me, is that this was all going on in his host family. Host family weren't really noticing, just thinking he was a lad that spent more time in his room than most, because that's something we don't encourage. We discourage them having too much time in their bedrooms and their host families. Got really severe. Parents went private with a counsellor. We got recommended through Sporting Chance, and his life's back on track. Wonderful lad, but he's kind of fallen out of football, playing very low level part-time and doing a university course. And this is the boy I mentioned from the Isle of Man. I actually made a list, and I was frightened by the length of the list, the number of players that were on there who I've had different chats with about different mental health issues, and how it's got more and more over this year. One thing we did this year when it was World Mental Health Day, we cancelled all afternoon education sessions on the Wednesday because it fell on a Wednesday, and we just talked mental health all afternoon. We did it as a group, we did it in pairs, small groups. Mental health was the topic, and by the end of the session, I had lads putting their hands up when we just brought it all together going, well, when I went to camp, it was useless, Mike. It didn't offer me nothing, blah, blah, blah. No, absolute rubbish. If you listen to what they're saying and you embraced it, the person I spoke to was brilliant. I'm thinking, oh my, you've asked me never to disclose that, and you've asked me never to disclose that in front of anyone. And all of a sudden, they're all talking about it openly. And I've had more lads come and knock the door this year and say, I'm not feeling good at the moment. And we've talked about it, we've put strategies in place. Okay, so if I can leave you with anything, integrate mental health into your culture and your philosophy. That has to have buy-in. If you can get from the top, academy manager, chief executive chairman, everybody, and down, that helps. Otherwise, tap into each department one at a time and get the lead person there to give you a bit of support. That multidisciplinary approach, don't scoff at it, oh, he's just weak, he's got to be more mentally tough. Or is it, yes, you do, it's a horrible, ruthless game, but ultimately we're dealing with the new generation of lads. Have a clearly defined structure and network, embed your mental health into your education program, so every time you get to, and I equate it to, I said, right, you might have a bit of spare time, the rare time the lads get away, enjoy yourself out with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whatever it might be, because we're all inclusive here. Just things like that. The lads expect me to say things like, or your boyfriend, inclusive here, and it's the same. If you're struggling today, doesn't matter, come and let us know. And I believe we're now influencing and getting into the lads enough that they're dealing with it themselves in the changing room. I think that's the biggest step we've made this year, is the lads are now taking it on, oi, what's the matter? And they're having their own conversations. And I'm getting tip-offs from lads, keep an eye on so-and-so struggling, go and have a word with. And I think that's massive progress of embedding it into your culture. And then create a plan and process for making sure you can go to support networks. We haven't got bags of money to invest in mental health as an academy. I do education, I do welfare, I do safeguarding, I do mental health, I do transport, accommodation, you know, until we can perhaps get the riches. But it's important, if everybody buys in, you provide a better environment for the boys. So I hope I didn't bore you too much, and you all enjoy your cup of tea.